Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the WEI Tech Talk podcast. It's hard to believe that this is episode number 63. And today we're joined by our friends from Rubrik, Patrick Haverty and Parker Gaines, to talk about a topic that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts these days. We're going to talk about identity security, and identity as the new attacker target. And then we're going to shine a light on a really compelling new solution that Rubrik has brought to the table. Before we get into this, I want to give everyone a little bit of background about WEI. I know a lot of our customers are probably viewing this podcast, but for those who don't know much about us, WEI is a very large and well-resourced technology integrator based up in Salem, New Hampshire, though we do serve the United States and ship to about 42 different countries. About 35 years old, 230 employees, 100 of whom are engineers, customer-facing field engineers who are out there helping our customers succeed with their technology projects. In terms of our technology experience, there's not much we don't do here at WEI. I lead the cybersecurity practice, which is extremely comprehensive. But beyond that, we focus very much on building networks, building data centers, migrating our customers to the cloud. And for purposes of this discussion today, we have a very large and vibrant storage and backup practice. So this conversation today is going to be a bit of a combination of both the storage and backup discussion, courtesy of our friends at Rubrik, and the cybersecurity world that I represent at WEI. So as we mentioned, the topic today is identity and identity security. One of my favorite quotes that I've seen was from one of Rubrik's chief transformation officers. She said that attackers are no longer breaking in, but logging in. Why would you brute force your way into an organization, risk getting caught, when you could actually just grab an identity, grab an account, and use that to access critical systems like a normal user would? So identity has really become the weakest link that we need to defend today in this world. So before we dive into this, I do want to take the audience through a little short history lesson, as I call it, great moments in cybersecurity history. Many folks probably remember back in 2017 the NotPetya destructive ransomware attack. Folks may not remember, though, what happened to Maersk, one of the largest shipping companies in the world, when NotPetya hit. So I want to take you through that a little bit. For those of you who want to read the probably the best account of what happened, I would direct you towards Andy Greenberg's article in Wired Magazine. He tore this whole thing apart and put together one of the best yarns you're ever going to read about a cybersecurity attack. So I highly recommend you take a look at this after this podcast is over. So a little bit of background: NotPetya was a Russian operation targeted at Ukraine. They basically modified a legacy piece of ransomware called Petya to make it purely destructive instrument to target Ukraine and effectively bring down the country. What they basically did is they targeted a widely used accounting software called Medoc that's used across Ukraine and in some other places, injected the infected code into Medoc's update system, and that effectively spread NotPetya across the country. It shut government down, financial systems down, hospitals down. It was highly effective in taking down Ukraine, but the unintended consequence was that it spread beyond the borders of Ukraine to affect a lot of other organizations and countries. Notably, it found a vulnerable system of Medoc at Maersk's office in Odessa. It's a major port city in Ukraine, where you're obviously going to see a lot of Maersk shipping containers and shipping operations. This infection impacted all of Maersk, and it very rapidly spread to their entire corporate environment. So they are the second largest shipping company in the world. They handle about a fifth of the world's cargo. If you've driven through New Jersey or Port of LA, you're going to see Maersk shipping containers everywhere. So basically, on June 27, 2017, they were infected. There are reports of people watching call centers where screens are going blank as the machines were being hit. Port of Newark in Newark, New Jersey, couldn't operate. So all the trucks are trying to come to deliver and remove shipping containers were backing up on the New Jersey Turnpike. Cost about $300 million in damages. They were able to recover. They went to a very aggressive recovery process. But the big problem was this impacted their identity environment, their entire Active Directory environment. All 150 domain controllers were encrypted, and they did not have a backup or recovery strategy for them. The thought was, if you're replicating, just grab one of the other servers and restore from that. It didn't work in this case. So they were stuck. And their solution to this problem, I guess I would say solution with air quotes, they were lucky. They found an offline Active Directory server in the West African nation of Ghana. And they quite literally had to send a private jet to Nigeria to have an employee hand over the hard drive that had the clean copy of Active Directory and fly it back to London. The upload they tried to do was going to take too long. It was too large. But this was their solution. And I think for most people, most professionals listening to this story, you realize this is not a solution. So they were lucky. They were actually able to restore from this server and got the organization back up and running. The lesson here, this is ancient history. This was 9 years ago. The problem is that this problem still exists, and identity has not gotten any easier. It's more critical to the organization. It's much more complex than it was when it was strictly a world of just Active Directory. I'd like to introduce Patrick Haverty and Parker Gaines from Rubrik now. And basically, I'd like to understand, you guys are out there daily. You're educating customers about these solutions. You're seeing customers in pain. How have the attacks evolved? What are you guys learning? And of course, how does your solution address this problem?
Thank you, Todd. We're excited to be here today.
Absolutely. Glad to have you guys.
And I think it makes sense if we just take a step back first and think about Rubrik. What put us on the map, we came to market about 12 years ago as a modernized data protection solution. And we've really emerged as one of the leaders in cyber resilience. So we help organizations protect their data. We make it recoverable fast in the event of a cyber attack. And that's certainly a board level initiative for most organizations. But the question is, what good is that if we can't do the same for your identities? Right? You told that story of Maersk, and I think many CISOs we meet with today would agree that identity is the new perimeter. And we've always been in the business of backing up domain controllers, helping our customers protect, users, groups, and roles in Entra. But last February, we released a new offering that's much more robust to fill some of those gaps, and we'll walk through it. And the timing couldn't have been better because Parker and I had the opportunity to meet with literally hundreds of CISOs last year alone. And it's been eye-opening to see how these attackers have grown and become even more sophisticated, whether it's, golden ticket attacks or phishing and social engineering. I'm sure most folks saw what happened with MGM back in 2023, right, where Scattered Spider called and impersonated one of the employees. They forced them to reset the MFA. They broke in, they went after AD, took it down. The damage was north of 100 million. Saw a similar horror story at Marks and Spencer's as well. Same thing, Scattered Spiders targeting AD. And the theme is that the attackers are no longer breaking in, they're logging in.
Then what? Obviously, they're in the door. Where do they take it from there?
Yeah, it's a really good question, Todd. And it's unfortunately the same playbook that we see time and time again with so many countless different organizations, like Patrick mentioned. The first step, they're going to target that end user, always going to be the weakest end link, unfortunately. Once they get a foothold of that end user, they can compromise those accounts a ton of different ways. Could be credentials out there in the dark web. Maybe the account's not following best practice, doesn't have MFA enforced. Once they get that actual foothold in the environment, tale as old as time, they're going to go in, they're going to escalate their privileges, go ahead to promote themselves to a domain administrator or any other type of privileged
Mm,
group. They can modify critical GPOs in the organization. The end goal is going to be the same here. It's to compromise any of the infrastructure or IDPs. So whether that's encrypting your domain controllers, taking your Entra tenant or Okta tenant offline, Either way, the end goal remains the same here, and it's to cause disruption and get the end all ransom.
What's unfortunate is once the attacker's in, once they've had a chance to establish persistence, you're left with two really tough options, right? And when we speak with organizations, they don't have a good solution here. If you look on the left, option one, the most logical thing to do is probably, hey, we've got backup, so let's restore from a backup. The challenge there is, well, how do you know your last known good copy? How do you know? Are you guessing? And when you restore, are you reintroducing that threat right back into your environment, restarting that process, right? That's what we see more often than not. And the other option is, okay, you have to rebuild from scratch. And the folks that have tried this, that have tested this, that have those backgrounds with AD, they know this is a grueling process. It's a 150-page manual process, 29 step. We find that it fails more often than it succeeds. Fails about 80% of the time because if one step is out of place, you go back to the beginning. So this is really a challenge. We see it takes organizations anywhere from 4 to 7 days on average. And that's if you have a team of experts that are prepared to address this. More often than not, that's one or two individuals in an organization. If that's you, Todd, and you're out of the country and Patrick's somewhere on PTO, what do you do? What's your plan? So it's a very uncomfortable conversation we have, but a very necessary conversation to help people understand that if AD goes down, you're really in a world of hurt.
Well, and I know as we mentioned earlier, AD is only part of the story. Things have gotten a lot more complicated than clearly than it was back in 2017. And I'm sure the industry has come up with solutions to this, but my experience has been the solutions have gaps or don't address the complexity. How's Rubrik different to solving this problem than other solutions that are out there?
Yeah, and I think just to go a layer deeper, we've only covered Active Directory so far to this point. So beyond before we talk about some of those other competitive solutions that help, I think it'd be worthwhile for Parker to kind of dive into how this problem expands beyond AD and into the cloud.
Yeah, and Todd, just like you mentioned, right? AD, maybe when the first incident happened a couple of years ago, that was really just like the single point of failure. Now that's just a cascading effect across all IDPs. So you have your Entra, you have your Okta worlds, all of them are very, very much intertwined. And most of the time, AD is the single source of truth for any of these IDPs. If one of them goes down, it really is that cascading effect across the board, whether that's an Entra, whether that's an Okta. And a lot of the native solutions that are out there today, it's not going to get you back to that last known good or the main point that you need to recover your IDP successfully here.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how much this comes up. Often we talk with a team that says, you know what, we've got a different team for AD. We do backups, we're good. Talk to us about Entra. Talk to us about Okta because they know that this is often the blind spot. Or you think about how many enterprise apps an organization has, hundreds, if not thousands. The enterprise apps, conditional access policies, are those protected? What would happen if you woke up, there was an outage and those went away? What would that process be to recover? And that's a major pain point that we're seeing consistently across the board.
Did you guys design for this complexity? It sounds like you've addressed some of these concerns.
Yeah, certainly. Our solution's designed to be comprehensive for both AD and Entra from a single platform. And I think you asked earlier, Todd, about what other solutions are out there. There are some good solutions that are out there that have been around, since the 70s and the 80s, and some that are more recent, about the same age as Rubrik. And they're really good at handling operational recovery, right? Everyday recovery scenarios. But the challenge that we identified was that the way they're deploying their software on Windows is a huge gap because we have a ransomware response team here at Rubrik, and we've helped hundreds of our customers recover successfully from cyber attacks over the years. And one of the interesting data points was that over 80% of the time, the bad actor goes after the hypervisor. So if you have software running on the hypervisor and the hypervisor gets wiped out, that software is going to be gone. It's not going to be there when you need it. And that was consistent across every solution that we saw was They're all deployed on Windows. They don't have native immutability built in. They're relying on third party, and that adds time and that adds complexity in a situation that you really can't afford either when it's time to recover identity, because identity must be recovered first. So when you compare that to Rubrik's approach, what's interesting is you go back to our earliest white papers in 2014, and we're touting immutability core to our file system. In fact, everything you see on the screen here, hardened Linux, logical air gapped, right? All of this was core to our foundation from day one. And quite frankly, this is what gives our customers the confidence to say, yes, we can survive an attack, and yes, we can recover without infecting ourselves. So that's a huge difference that our customers identify when they're comparing these solutions.
Yeah, and then really just to kind of circumvent the point here that Patrick's bringing up, Rubrik's designed to cover all three phases of an attack, regardless of the situation you find yourself in. The first phase, right before the attack, we already covered the preemptive readiness. No matter what, your solution is going to survive the attack. It's immutable, it's indelible, it's air gapped. So attackers are never going to get to it, and they can't modify any of the backups once they get to them if they do. The second piece here, right, clean point of recovery. Natively, once backups are taken with Rubrik, we're identifying that clean point. We're never going to allow you to restore back to a last known bad copy that is infected with ransomware or anomalous activity. We're also taking the approach from a posture perspective for any of the IDPs. We can show you the risks that are associated with them, and that resolves into phase two, where if we're finding risks, we want to take action on them and remediate them immediately. We can track all of the activity in the environment. When we see any type of anomalous behavior or anything bad, we want to revert back to its last known good state. We can also alert on any of this. And then in your worst case scenario, we can always remove the persistence from the environment by doing a recovery on the granular level, on the forest level, tenant wide. Either scenario here, you're going to be covered from a recovery perspective.
One thing I love about Rubrik, we've always talked in sort of military parlance at WEI about left of bang and right of bang, preparing for the attack left of bang, but then being able to respond very quickly and learn from the attack after the attack right of bang. And you guys really you nail the whole spectrum of that. So again, something I really appreciate about how you guys go about your product design and delivery.
Absolutely, Todd. And I think taking that one step further, it's all about being able to do this from a single interface, right? When you have identity, data, AI, all in a single UI, one command center to go. That's truly unique about Rubrik. When we look at the results here, we've helped hundreds of customers adopt this technology over the past year. And the biggest benefit is that you're going to be able to dramatically reduce your cyber RTO from days and weeks to hours. And you can test that and you can have confidence going to your CISO or the board to say, yes, we've tested this, we've proven it, we know we can recover and meet our RTO. And that's something that's absolutely critical in today's world.
You know, and I'm speaking for myself as a security guy, and probably for a lot of people who are viewing this podcast. You know, the speed and velocity of recovery is super compelling to me, but also the cleanliness of recovery, the fact that you guys can bring it back to the last known clean restore point. I think that's something that's going to resonate with most people. That it solves a gaping problem in the industry right now. The obvious question that I have and a lot of other people have is, how do you prove this out to people? So people want to see it without having to do an elaborate installation in their environment. Do you have a way to show the effectiveness and how the solution works to organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. And for most customers and prospects, right, they don't want to go through and blow up their own environments, rightfully so. So
Right.
that's where we offer out a full-blown lab environment where we can configure a complete instance of Rubrik. We'll spin up domain controllers. You can do forest level recoveries, domain controller recoveries, anything that you'd want to test in a real-world scenario. We basically give a turnkey solution for anybody to test anything that we have here.
Fantastic. Does that involve any impact to their environment, or is it all an offline
No, totally hosted
solution?
by Rubrik, nothing connected to their actual production, total lab environment that they have complete control over. And then, of course, nothing's phoning home, and you have the ability to break and destroy and then rebuild.
Excellent. So the message to the folks listening today, you know, this is easy. If you want to take a look, reach out, and we'd love to show you how it all works. Parker, would you have a moment to give folks, the visual learners on the line, a little exposure, what the technology looks like?
Yeah, one more thing before we jump into the demo. I think it's worth noting. We've added over 1,000 customers last year, and about 70% were existing Rubrik customers. So if you're out there thinking this is interesting, but I have a competing backup solution, we do have hundreds of customers that have adopted Rubrik specifically for this identity solution. So if that's of interest to you, we're open to having a conversation around that.
So there was no requirement to own any legacy Rubrik technology to use this solution.
That's correct.
Excellent.
Essentially, we're obviously talking about identity today, but we're a lot bigger than that. No matter what you're backing up today with Rubrik, whether that's your data centers, your cloud, your SaaS applications, or of course identity, we have the ability to back it up successfully and restore both worlds. So it's not just an identity specific conversation. Very important to kind of call out. Now, regardless of the platform we're talking about, very much focused on Active Directory, Entra, Okta, Ping will be coming soon as well. You can jump into either one of these platforms, and then regardless of the scenario you find yourself in, whether that is a full-blown forest recovery, whether that is a recovery focused on your domain controllers or any of your objects within AD, you can come in here. You're always going to be able to find your last known good copy. Everything's going to be a calendar-based workflow. And then depending on the scenario you find yourself in, whether that is the object level, domain controller level, or forest level, you have the ability to go in and dictate which type of restore you're doing. Now, that's very important for Active Directory, but you also have the same kind of ability for Entra, for Okta. You can go in, you can orchestrate recoveries on any of your specific tenants. You can do the same kind of workflow for a restoration, find that point in time. We can restore on that granularity level or a full-blown tenant restore. And then we can do these cognizant of in the same tenant or in a cross tenant. And then for anything on the Entra side, it's everything that you would expect from a full-blown restoration perspective, whether that is your cloud-only object, your synced objects with Active Directory, any of your user groups, roles, any of the enterprise apps, app registrations, conditional access policies, everything that you'd need for a fully functioning environment, we have the ability to back up, restore, and get it back to its last known good working state here. A lot more that we can obviously dive into. There is the other pieces for the activity tracking, the posture that we go out and look for within the IDPs as well. All of this, as you can see, is in the same interface. We can definitely dive deeper into any of these topics with any of the customers on a follow-up session for sure.
Guys, this is great. A big thanks to Patrick and Parker for this discussion. I do want to encourage customers to reach out to us after this. The point is we'd like to expose and educate our customers to solutions like this. We're really bullish on Rubrik. They've never let our customers down. And the beauty is they continue to innovate. A lot of the storage and backup players stuck to storage and backup. If you've been paying attention to Rubrik for a very long time, they very heavily emphasize the cybersecurity implications of the solutions that they bring to the table. So for that reason, we've made a very large commitment to them as a partner. So that being said, please do reach out. If there are further questions we can answer, we're happy to do so. Thanks very much for your time today. Parker, Patrick, thank you guys for your expertise.